always showing off how amazing their gardens are, right? I know I always look on YouTube and I see these gorgeous gardens and they're perfect and you can't see a weed in the whole thing. And I always feel like a failure, like an epic failure. So I thought I would share my garden with you guys in case you feel like an epic failure too, because I can almost guarantee you that my garden is the worst one you've ever seen. And so then at least it'll make you feel better and that you're not alone, that your garden has tons of weeds and looks like an accident, frankly. So it was funny the other day. A friend asked me. She said, "Oh, do you garden?" And I said, "Yes, I fail every single year." So that's kind of how I feel. Like every single year, it just seems to be a failure, and the weeds take over, and the production is not nearly as good as I wanted it to be. And my chickens get in and eat things, and other critters eat things. So, anyways, let's go to my garden, and I will share with you. So let's do this. Let's go into my jungle of a garden. It looks more like a jungle. This is my makeshift gate to try and keep my chickens out. I've got some sweet pea plants over here. I tried to get them to climb this thing. Most of them just died or are on the ground. Got some pretty flowers still growing. I think those are called petunias. I don't know. Comment below if you know. And then I've got a random cucumber plant a friend gave me. So I planted that a few weeks ago. And I did have watermelons here earlier in the year, but my either chickens or some rodents ate all of them. And you can see weeds have just completely overtaken my garden. I didn't really have anything all along the sides, and the only time my garden looked decent this year was when I took the weed eater out here and used it on the weeds. I did have some cauliflower and stuff over here, but I harvested that. By the time I did, most of it had been eaten up by slugs and stuff, and cabbage and everything. And then I planted Brussels sprouts a few weeks ago in here, and they didn't really come up. So yeah, I just need to tear all this down for the fall season. I do have some celery over there growing, and then I did have kale under this one, but it's not there anymore. And just like I said, it's a jungle of weeds. And I want you guys to know that there is somebody who has a worse garden than you, and it is me. And to not feel bad when you see all these perfect gardens out there in the world, because I know I do all the time, and I feel so inadequate. And maybe I am inadequate at gardening, but I'll show you in a minute. I did at least get some things out of this garden this year. I planted onions over here, and I only got to harvest one because the weeds overtook it all. And I had tomatoes up here. There's still a few growing. You can see there's a tomato. And over, where are those tomatoes over there still growing? They actually turned red this year, which was surprising. I had to amend the soil a lot because my tomatoes don't normally turn red in my garden because I have lots of walnut trees. So, and then I had a lot of squash plants, which all produced very well. And I'll show you a picture of all the squashes and zucchinis and stuff that I have in my kitchen right now. So I harvested pretty much all of those already, and I'm slowly going through them. And I have some green beans over here. Me and my 4-year-old daughter planted them one day, and then once they came up, they pretty much quickly were eaten by, I think, rabbits. So the majority of them were eaten by rabbits, but some of them survived because we did 2 rows, and it's basically only 1 row survived. Excuse me. And then over here, I had onions, or no, I'm sorry, potatoes. That was my first time growing potatoes, and they pretty much just rotted and died. Okay. Up here I had all squashes, and they've all just pretty much died at this point in the season. But I harvested a good amount off of those, so I was really happy. And I had so many watermelon plants, and they were doing so good. But like I said, they were eaten by some kind of creature. And I have a random pumpkin that was pecked at a million times, I think, by my chickens, but it scarred itself over and is still surviving. So I need to harvest that soon, and I think make a pumpkin pie. I think that's a sugar pumpkin, sugar pie pumpkin, or whatever you call it. So one of these squash plants is still alive. I don't see any squashes on it. Some tomato plants still alive, hanging in there. Starting to cool down the weather, so now my one cool project that turned out pretty good was I wanted to do a living teepee. I have kids, and so I wanted to do something fun in the garden, although they've rarely come out here to be in it. But it's pretty fun, and it's producing lots of pole beans. I normally like to grow Blue Lake bush beans, like I showed you earlier, but this was my first year doing pole beans, and they turned out great. So I'm going to harvest those here in a few minutes for dinner tonight. So yeah, that was a fun little project, and it's producing well. Like I a whole bunch of there, beans. So, you know, even though my garden is a complete disaster, it's given me some food. Probably not worth all the effort I put in, but you know, it is what it is. That's life. Over here is my asparagus patch in this section. So in the springtime we get good asparagus, and then some, you know, went up to shoots and seeds. They've got the little, if you can see those tiny little red balls in there, those are the asparagus seeds. And then in the middle here, I have gravel, which I wanted to just be a gravel area. It just overgrew with weeds too. Everything is just overgrown with weeds. And this was a strawberry patch. I really struggle with strawberries. I don't really get a whole lot. I don't know if it has to do with the walnuts around or if it's my soil or what, but I need to come out here and weed though, because it looks like they spread pretty good, so I want them to do well next year. So I think I need to weed this fall. I don't know, we'll see. More flowers. And then over here I have some mint and stuff that comes up every year. Somewhere in here amongst the weeds is mint. I don't see it right now, but it probably just got smothered by the weeds. And then I have 3 more beds over here, and I planted stuff and it all just got overtaken by the weeds. You can see the remnants of a watermelon plant right there. And that is just basically dying. So this is my jungle of a garden. And for those, like I said, you see all these perfect people with these perfect gardens on YouTube or wherever, or your neighbor, and you feel like crap because your garden is crappy, well, you can feel better about yourself now, because I have the crappiest of gardens, and it's completely overtaken. Oh, look, there's a watermelon. Look, there's a little watermelon right there. Hopefully we can get it before an animal gets it, and let it see if it gets any bigger for a little bit. But yep, there you go. Now you can feel better about yourself at my expense, and I'm totally fine with that. Y'all have a blessed day. Thanks for watching.